हेलो, गुड इवनिंग, वेलकम, सुस्वागतम, स्वागत है आपका आज के इस एक्सपर्ट टॉक शो में एंड टुडे इज़ आर 99th एपिसोड. सो या थैंक्स टू यू गाइस, बिकॉज ऑफ यू, आपके सपोर्ट, आपके मोटिवेशन के कारण ही हम ये 99th एपिसोड तक पहुँचे एंड टुमारो विल बी 100th एपिसोड. सो यस, stay tuned and let us welcome our expert of the day and let us know what is the topic. And yeah, topic is very interesting. So we will have our expert Manav Gupta, and we will be discussing on the roles of paid ads for D2C brands. So yes, audience, let us be ready to welcome our expert of the day and let us start the session. Do like, share, and comment on this session. Yes, so let us welcome our expert of the day. Yes, Manav, welcome on the show.
Hi.
Thank you for accepting our invitation and joining in today's show. So I'm sure कि काफ़ी कुछ knowledge आपसे मिलेगा ये topic के related and yeah, we are thankful to you.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Vipul. Thanks for the invitation. Really excited about the session.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so audience, do like, do share, do follow us on LinkedIn, do follow us on YouTube, follow our channel Vipul the Wonderful, and press the bell icon on both to get our regular updates. So yeah, you can also check Manav's profile. I'll update the link. Uh, I'll show the link here also, and I'll also put it in the description. So आप मानव के प्रोफाइल को भी फॉलो कर सकते हैं, DM कर सकते हैं. If you have any query, he would be happy to help you. So with that note, let me start the session. Let me give a brief intro about Manav and what he does, and then we'll hear more from him, and then we'll start the questions. So आप भी अपने questions, अपने query definitely put in the comment. We will be happy to have them, and we will cover them during the session. और apart from questions, आप अपने motivations, अपने comments, अपने feedback भी comment में definitely add कीजिएगा. That will help us, that will motivate us. So with that note, let me give a brief intro about Manav. So Manav is the founder of Balistro Consultancy, which is he is doing this since over 5 years, and he is having experience of performance marketing. He collaborates with clients, particularly focusing on optimizing paid campaigns to drive business growth. So that's a very short intro from about Manav, but we would like to know more about you, Manav. So please tell us more about you and what you are doing, and yeah, to go on. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks for the introduction, Vipul. So again, right, like as you mentioned, it's been 5 years for me in the digital marketing space. I straight after college in 2020, actually 2019, I started with one of the leading agencies in India. I was working with Marcus Okriti. I was a part of that agency for close to 2.5 years, and that's where I learned most of our marketing. I was working with clients that were looking to run campaigns on paid platforms, including Facebook. Back then, there was TikTok in India as well. So TikTok, Google, YouTube, LinkedIn. Again, LinkedIn was another channel, and apart from that, I was also working on Twitter. So those were the channels that I was working on for multiple clients. But in the last close to 3 years, I thought of starting something of my own. Before that, I started as a freelancer. I started working with clients overseas as a consultant. But post that, I thought that okay, this is really interesting, and I wanted to go more into it. And therefore, with another uh, college mate of mine, we are batchmates in college. So with Naman, I started Balistro, and we're working with clients right now in 10 different geographies. We are a team of 10, and we help our clients with paid ads, with SEO, with creators, as well as with data analytics. So those are the different things that we work on. But yeah, really a very exciting space in terms of digital marketing, and it's evolving a lot. So lots to learn. So yeah.
So yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. And thanks for giving your more details about you, what you are doing and how you are doing it. So that's great. Yeah, thank you, Harshad, for joining in and appreciating. Thank you for Harshad is there and he's appreciating. Thank you so much, Harshad. And so to start with the very first question, what are the advantages of brands utilizing paid ads, and what is the need of it?
Yeah, right. Like, well, the main thing again being right, like, marketing is something that every company needs. Like, that's the foremost thing in terms of growing a business, looking out for more clients, not just for, let's say, clients in B2B space, but B2C as well. Like, basically anything that concerns people, we really need marketing, right? So that's the core of it. But the advantage of having something like digital paid ads is that it can be very centric towards a particular user, right? Like, basically, the problem with conventional forms of marketing was that, let's say you run an ad on newspaper or on radio, you can't really target people based on a particular demographic. You can't really target them based on their age, their preferences, as in what they like, what they don't like. You can't really do that, right? And again, the other sort of a drawback with the conventional forms of marketing is that uh, you have to start with a particular budget. You it can't be that आपके पास अगर 100 रुपए हैं and you are like, I want to start with the marketing campaign. You can't do that with the conventional forms of marketing. But when it comes to paid ads, you can be very centric. You can target people that you really want. You can target the age. You can target their interest, which is the best part of it. And then you can start small. You can understand if those campaigns are working, like, are they bringing the type of results that you're looking for, and then you can scale up on them. So that's one major element, right, which makes paid ads, especially paid digital ads, more valuable for businesses, because that's what we really need. बट उसके साथ एक चीज और ये है, राइट, कि everyone right now is using digital devices, and if you're not running ads on those platforms, then you're just missing out on that. Because as the new generation, right, like, a lot of people really don't read newspapers. Like, they can still consume the same news on a mobile app, but they're not, let's say, reading the newspaper. So running that ad on a newspaper can won't give you that sort of results. But if you're doing the same thing on, let's say, an Instagram or a Google or a YouTube, that's where the audience lies, and that's where you will get the best results from.
That's amazing, great answer. So how any brand can decide that which platform is best suitable for them to do the paid promotion, and in what form, like content or video or image, like how to decide both the things.
It's a great question, right? Like, that's something that whenever a business is starting, that's the first thing that they think about. One, obviously, do they really need paid ads? And if they do need paid ads, what's the channel that they should start with, right? So, it honestly, there's no one answer to it, because it depends on the type of a business it is. Let's say if it's a completely new business which doesn't really have any sort of a presence, and people don't know about it, and therefore that's a new thing that's coming up, it just makes sense to use platforms that are social, right? Which can be Instagram, which can be Facebook, which can be Twitter, and so and so forth, right? Because that's where people, like, with the channel like Google, right, is that people will be searching for it, and then your ads will come. And I know, like, you can use inventories like YouTube, but they're not really that good at the starting phase. So I always suggest people to start with, let's say, something like a Facebook or an Instagram. Twitter is also a great platform, but the type of, or the quality and the quantity of audience that lies on Instagram or Facebook is much more, right? So if it's a new business, it makes sense that they can definitely go for something like Facebook or an Instagram. Again, right, Instagram is taking a lot of newer audiences. So if your product is specifically being made to Gen Z, to the new, like, all of the new generation, definitely go for Instagram. But if it's something uh, above 30, beyond 35, then definitely Facebook can also be mix in that. But if it's a brand that's been well known, but they are, like, let's say, there are lots of brands in India, right, which are there, but they're not really capitalizing on paid ads, because they had a store and they didn't feel that sort of a business coming in from paid ads. So definitely, if there's a brand presence being there, they can definitely capitalize on Google or YouTube as well. But again, it will depend on a lot of parameters. I'm just trying to give you one generic answer, but basically, the brand needs to understand their positioning. They need to understand where they are at, and then they can really decide. But if it's a new brand, definitely try something like a Facebook or Instagram and build it up from there.
Very, very rightly answered. So you rightly answered that which platform to be used, and how to use it. But now very important, like, when it is appropriate for any brand to employ paid ads, which will be the right time,
Yeah.
or yeah, how to do that.
Yeah. So again, right, when it comes to coming in with paid ads, see, like one of the things that I mentioned is the beauty about paid ads is you can start at a small scale. You see if it's working, and then you can scale it up, which is the best part of it, right? But basically, uh, my general sort of suggestion always is not to, like, if let's say your business is starting, it's the first month you just made a website, just try and understand your positioning, just try to get some sort of feedback on the product or the offerings that you have before you start or employ paid ads. See, a lot of businesses still go about straight away starting with paid ads, which at times work, but the major thing being, it shouldn't be that you're just relying on paid ads from the starting itself. So let's say in the starting, if you really want to employ paid ads, you can give a certain percentage of your money on that, but you'll have to really understand your product first. Like, you'll have to understand your product market fit. You'll have to understand what is your core audience. And once you're able to narrow it down that, okay, this is your right audience, talk to those people, understand if you're really solving that problem, if they're really excited about that product. So do that due diligence before you take in a step of going to paid ads, because what happens is, right, with us, they start with paid ads, and a lot of times they won't work just in the starting, because you haven't really figured out your product. You haven't really made changes in a way that it makes a better product, or a suitable product that the market needs, right? And then what basically ends up is you don't really get any sort of results, and then you feel, okay, paid ads won't really work even down the line, which is the problem, because once your business has built that sort of a momentum, and when it really needs paid ads, you already have a bias saying that, oh, this didn't work for me and I shouldn't go for that. So it's very important to understand your product, really important to understand your product market fit before you employ paid ads. But again, as a business, if you really want to give it a try, give it at a small budget, understand how it works, and then you can build upon that.
वेरी राइटली आंसर. सो जब एड्स की बात आती है, पेड एड्स की बात आती है, तो देर इज़ अ क्वेश्चन कि पेड, और मतलब जो बोलते हैं पेड एड्स थ्रू ऑन दी प्लेटफॉर्म, और अभी नाउ डेज इट इज़ अ वेरी इन ट्रेंड कि वो इन्फ्लुएंसर मार्केटिंग जिसको बोलते हैं कि पेड एड्स थ्रू the organic channels. So which is your advice, which one is more suitable, or which one is best, or how anyone can decide that whether I should go with the paid ads officially on the platforms, or I should go with some influencing influencers, or how to do, मतलब कैसे decide कर सकते हैं वो चीज़.
Again, a great question, right? Like, especially when it comes to, जब भी हम Facebook या Instagram की बात करते हैं, I guess जो सबसे पहला question at times we have is, will should we directly go to paid ads, or let's say we collaborate with some of the influencers and do influencer marketing. So just to give, or just set some context, like, influencer marketing is another really bigger avenue that's starting to scale up, and it's going to scale in the next 5 years a lot more. Um, like, that's more about understanding the psychology of how people really react, right, to brands. So the type of connect that an influencer can get with the ads or with people is really amazing, and therefore it is a great avenue to explore. But I won't really compare it, as in, I won't say that, okay, just run paid ads or just do influencer marketing. Initially, you can do some influencer deals to understand how people react when you have a particular influencer talking about that brand. But at the same time, uh, getting the right influencers is also really important. Like, you need, like, you'll have to understand आपका product क्या है, and let's say the type of influencer that you're partnering with. Is the collab really a good thing? Like, are the energies matching of the brand? Again, right, at times it's a big call which you might not look to take in the starting, but influencer campaigns should definitely be in the mix. You can start with some small influencers first, so that you're not spending a lot of money there. You understand the type of results that you can generate from there, and then you can definitely start to scale that up, tie up with more influencers, and build a better presence. But I would say the best is having the mix of both, right? Like running influencer campaigns, giving some sort of spends allocated towards paid ads, using the same content that's working on your organic also with your paid ads can be a great thing for the businesses to scale up.
वेल आंसर्ड वेरी मतलब बहुत सही तरीके से आपने इसका जवाब दिया है. सो सो यू नो कोई भी चीज़ का एक्सेसिव इज harmful. So,
Yeah.
how can an excessive dependence on paid ads pose challenges for a business? How to decide कि what is the limit? Excessive कहाँ पे जा रहा है वो decide कैसे कर सकते हैं हम?
Yeah, right. Like this is one of the most crucial elements which at times brands like miss out on, right? Like a lot of brands, even if you will see today, are like even the big ones, right, are overly dependent on paid platforms, which can be Meta. Like again, right, to be honest, like Meta and Google are the top two platforms. Amazon is also catching in. So, but it's a marketplace which we can talk separately. But again, Meta and Google are the two biggest platforms which brands are really capitalizing upon. Like more than 80-85% of the budget that people are spending anyways are going towards these two platforms itself, right? So the problem that people end up doing at times is they're overly dependent on channels like, let's say, Facebook or Google, and they really are not able to understand that what sort of organic presence, what sort of brand building has happened, which is important. Not just organic or brand building, but at the same time there can be other avenues or other partnerships that you can bring in, which can be, let's say, bring in a small scale of affiliate marketing, uh, really start working on your SEO, because that's a great way of building your organic presence, and it's a very sustainable thing as well. But coming back to the main thing, right, which is when you're overly dependent on the platform. Let's say there's a particular change that's coming on Meta, which can really disrupt how things work. And I've seen businesses getting disrupted completely with just one change. Like if you remember the iOS update that came in 2020, I guess it was in 2022, early 2020, later part in 2021 and 2022, which is when that big iOS change came and that really changed the ecosystem completely. And I know a lot of businesses that were like they're more than 50 or 60% of the revenues are just coming through Meta, right? And with that one change, the numbers went to half or even less for a lot of businesses, right? And therefore, it's basically like the thing that you mentioned, right? That over dependence on anything can be really bad, but over dependence on platforms like any paid platform is excessive bad, right? Like that's basically those businesses are just built on those platforms, and once that platform is lower, it just becomes a big challenge to then keep the business sustainable or even keep the business alive. So really need to understand, like the brands really need to understand that paid ads are very important, no doubt about that. Like I don't think it's a it's even a question that paid ads are those important or not. They definitely are, and I haven't really seen brands that are doing or surviving without paid ads if they really want to grow. But you can't be overly dependent on paid ads, and then you're not really building your brand without that. It can pose a big challenge. So like just a percentage that I try to say is your percentage of revenue after a particular scale. It shouldn't be like more than 30-35% of your revenue. There shouldn't be any channel that contributes to, let's say, more than 35% of your overall revenue. If that's the case, you are overly dependent on a channel, and you really need to figure out other channels that can take that percentage, and then you can be in a state that, okay, let's say the worst happens, which is that platform stops to perform, you still have 70%, 75% of your revenue, which can still keep the business sustainable. So which can still keep the business alive. So that's the sort of a thumb rule that I would say you should always look at.
Well answered. So very rightly said. So yeah, audience, you can also ask your question if you have any question, if you have any feedback, if you want to add up on anything, then do comment. We'll be happy to see your comment and we'll be happy to answer your question. Thank you for the appreciation, audience. Nice session. So the next question is in what ways is the paid ecosystem is evolving, and what measures should a brand take to capitalize on current trends?
Yeah, like again, right? Like one of the biggest things I guess that's affecting any and every market is AI, right? Like the rise of ChatGPT, and then I'm not even sure how many platforms it has really come up after the rise of ChatGPT, right? And they have really disrupted ways of marketing. Like I don't think any brand can really survive without using AI. Like now, it has been a great sort of a help in terms of getting your processes aligned. I just had a post today on my LinkedIn where I was just talking about how how in Balistro, how do we use AI? What sort of tools do we use to make our processes fast at the same time effective, right? Because that's more important. Like we don't want to just replace AI and say that we just want to get things fast, because that's not really a good way of looking at it. But I guess you need to look at processes that make your processes more efficient, right? Like let's say there places where you're just manually writing things down or manually keeping a note of it. You can always have things like let's say your calendars, to just like, that's a very basic example, but basically that's how you use all of these tools that are there for your use, that can make your life easier. So in terms of marketing, again, right, one of the things that happened, as I mentioned, in 2021 was the complete ecosystem changed because iOS came with an update, which was they wanted to go with more privacy, and therefore earlier the case was that it was a default that all the platforms or all the devices shared the data with platforms like Meta or Google. But after that update, it was that you have to opt in, like you have to specifically say that I want to share the data. If you're not specifically saying, no data will be shared, right? So that was the first big change that came in, and because of that, the complete view of how tracking worked with paid ads changed, right? But I guess that obviously these platforms are smart enough. They obviously took an year for Meta to work on that to get it better. But now I guess the biggest thing that's changing the ecosystem, like how is, let's say, one which is AI impacting things, which is, let's say, making things where you don't really need humans, right? Like that can be done by AI in 10 minutes, for which you were taking a complete day, right? So obviously AI is one element that's really changing how things work. Like you will see a lot of platforms that like, let's say we talk about chat gpt, we use chat gpt a lot, which is to write the content which we earlier were manually writing it out. Right now you have the prompts, you can create very specific prompts for your business, for your basically what you're looking for, and it can really help you get better your processes and everything. So that's one. Apart from that, even in terms of creators, you see all of the platforms that are really coming in, which are going to make your job easier. It will, like, just you have to just type in a line and it will just give you a complete creative made, right? Obviously you can make some changes because it won't be the full-fledged thing that you can use, but something that needed an hour can now be done in 10 minutes. So obviously AI is one that's making a difference. And at the same time, right, all of these platforms are now also becoming more smarter. Like if you talk about, let's say, if you specifically talk about Meta, earlier we choose the type of audience that we want to target, but now these platforms are really becoming that smart, that based on what you're offering, they really know that, okay, this is where I should show this ad to. You don't even need to tell Facebook that, okay, just show a shoe ad to someone who likes shoe based on that image. They have that much of data to understand that they need to show the ad to someone who likes shoes. So that's that's not just happening with Meta, but even Google has brought in a campaign which is called Performance Marks, which is again a AI version of the campaigns where a lot of things will be decided by the platforms, as in where they want to really optimize things on, and from where they can get better results. So yeah, right. Like, but as marketers, one of the biggest things that we will have to do is we'll have to be aligned with what's happening. Otherwise, the importance of a marketer won't be there. Like they have to really understand the trends. They have to be on top of what's happening and have to evolve accordingly.
Well answered. So that was a great answer. So as the topic of the session is role of paid ads for D2C brands. So uh, why you know it is more important for D2C brand? Is it and how it can help to other brands like B2B or B2C brands also?
Yeah, it can really help like anyone, right? Like it's not that it's just for D2C brands. Like I just wanted to make the topic a bit more specific to D2C brands because I guess that's where a lot of people are really focusing upon, and that's something that like again, right? The relevance of this becomes a bit bigger because with D2C brands, basically the audience is anyone and everyone. When you specifically talk about B2B, it's very specific businesses, which is again a great thing with paid ads, especially digital paid ads, which is you can really still reach out to them. But I just wanted to talk more about D2C brands. We work with a lot of D2C brands, and therefore that's what we have seen, the type of results that they have shown. But again, right, for any business, wherever you have a proposition, I guess the only thing that you need to understand is your target audience. You need to understand your product, and you need to simplify your product to the market. Like you have to build your ads or your proposition which is clear for a user to understand, and they need to understand how can you make an impact for them. So that's the thing, right? Like any business which understands that, which understands what people or what's their ideal audience, they can definitely use paid ads.
Well answered. So yeah, here Akash Kumar Das is asking one question, like how creative content tasting has evolved over the past few years.
Yeah, like again, right, a great question. So one of the things that has happened, as I mentioned, right, one of the things that I mentioned was that all of these platforms are now getting more smart, and therefore they're trying to take more control. So basically, if I just talk about something 3 years back, right, there were certain types set of creatives that had less text, that had more like visual impacts, were doing better. But now what we are seeing is creatives that are created by users, which we call as user generated content, UGC videos or even images are starting to do much better. So as I mentioned, as a brand, you'll have to really focus upon what your proposition is. You'll have to figure out ways of creating your ads, creating your creatives aligned towards that, so that anyone who's a user is able to understand what sort of an impact a brand can make in your life. That's where your creatives will really work. And another thing is like this is a this is a era where it's really competitive, right? Like you see the number of brands that are dealing with one particular thing, and therefore if your creatives are not unique, if your creatives are not clear in terms of what you are trying to sell, then I guess it becomes really difficult for your marketing to work. Because if every if there are 15 brands that are selling shoes, and if you're not able to showcase why your shoes are better, or let's say even if not better, then what sort of a difference that they bring in, it just becomes difficult for a user to buy something from a new brand. Like if Nike today wants to bring in a new product, they can do it. They have that brand presence, they have that distribution, so they can honestly sell anything. But for a new brand that's coming up, their creators are the only way of talking to the brands. Like you'll have to understand that basically your creatives are a way that you are talking to your audience, and therefore you'll have to figure out a way which is very clear, which is something that a user can understand, and therefore they can go for it.
Yes, very rightly answered. So hope Akash, we have you got the answer. You rightly said ki we should focus on any brand should focus on the solutions. It's not about the product or services which is being sold. It's all about the solutions or the services which is getting the success. So that is bang on, very rightly said. So one of the last question of the day, before if you don't get any live audience question, then yeah, this is what does the future holds for paid ads, you know?
Yeah, so I talked about that in the previous question as well, right? Which is that basically we'll have to evolve, we'll have to understand trends, and as marketers or people that are running paid ads, we'll have to really be on top of those trends, right? Like one of the things that I mentioned was that the importance and creatives that brands needs to give in 2023 has been the highest. Like it was there, but now since these platforms are really becoming automated, they're trying to take a lot more of control. You'll have to really focus upon your creative. So if you're not doing that, you're really missing out, and therefore you are. Then it just becomes difficult for your marketing campaigns to perform, because let's say if you're saying that I will just run the campaigns based on how I did 4 years back, they're not going to really work, because the platforms change, the platforms evolve, people change, and people are now adjusting to different things, right? So that's one. At the same time, like, another thing that we'll have to understand, specifically if we just talk about India, right? Like, a lot of our users are still going to use all of these display platforms, which can be, let's say, your phone, your laptop, your tabs, everything, for the first time. So there's a lot of audience that's still going to come, that's still going to use internet for the first time, and therefore there's a big potential there. All we need to do is we need to just really capitalize on that. We really need to follow the trends. Like, one of the things that really is increasing a lot, which we even talked about, is influencer marketing, right? And as a brand, if you say that, oh, I won't be focusing on influencer marketing, and I'll just keep on doing what I was doing 4 years back, then you're just really missing out on something. Another thing that's really starting to scale up is content marketing. Like, if you really won't be creating your content on the platforms, you are again missing out on a great avenue. A lot of these brands, a lot of the founders are right now on LinkedIn. They talk about what they do, and if you are again of the opinion that you won't be doing that, again, you're missing out on an avenue that's growing up. So as a marketer, not just as a marketer, right? I guess it's a thing with any business out there, that you'll have to really evolve with how things are. At times you won't even like some things, but that's the thing about it, that you'll have to really adjust to how what's working, and you'll have to stop doing things that are not, and just build upon them.
Very, very rightly said. So, yes, that was amazing. We got to know so many things, and it was very interesting. So, one of the final question from my end, your final words, your concluding notes. What's your final advice, or final suggestion, or final tip, bonus tip for our audience, for related to paid ads, so to conclude with.
Yeah, like, just to conclude in terms of all the things that we discussed, right? Like, paid ads is something that, as a brand, they need to consider. But again, as I said, over dependence on them can be a really problematic thing. You'll have to try various angles, not just in terms of your strategy, but in terms of your different channels, right? Like, one of the things that you were talking about is what is the first channel that you should go on. So I don't really think that right now it makes a big difference. Like, the start of the channel, see the type of success that you're able to bring in. If give it a few months, like, the biggest sort of thing that people do is they try it for a week, for a couple of weeks, and then they're like, okay, this won't work. But all of these platforms basically are based on machine learning, and more the data they will get, better they will get, right? So give them a couple of months, see the type of result that you're able to generate. If it's not really working, maybe switch to a different platform. You'll have to understand, think about the complete strategy, think about all the different angles. Look out for ways where you don't have to pay a lot of money, which can be, let's say, influencer ads, because there are lots of influencers that are just starting up, and all they're looking for is some good content that they can create, and they won't be even charging you high money, or a lot of money. So basically what you can do is you can collaborate with them, you can try a few things, and see. And then, yeah, right, like, once you're able to understand a particular channel that's working for you, you need to understand how you can scale it up, you need to understand the avenues that it offers. And then once you're good enough with that channel, don't just be over relied on that. Start looking for other channels, start looking for other avenues that can be there, that are there in parallel, that are helping your brand. And once you have, let's say, 5 or 6 channels that are helping you, not just in terms of paid, but anything in general, like, you should always have, like, at least like 5 to 6 channels that are bringing in revenue. Don't just rely on one or two. And yeah, like, paid ads will always keep on increasing, like, especially in a market like India. The market is going to grow by close to 20% every year, which means that there are a lot of users that are still going to come in, that are going to be the first buyers. So as a brand, really focus upon your product, like which is something that people really miss out on. We tend to just say that, okay, I'll just start with this and this will work. But I guess it's very important that you understand your product, you make your product better, talk to your audience, understand, like, say, their pain points and work upon them. So I guess product development or product enhancement should be something that the brands are always up for. It shouldn't be that once they understand, okay, this is working, they stop with getting their products better, or they stop looking at the product at all. Your customer support is another
Great.
important thing that you need to understand. We need to work upon that, because all of that at the end of the day is an experience, right? Whenever someone, like, if I'm buying from a website, I'm buying that experience. Like, why someone today prefers Mintra over anything else is because the platform, the app, the website really gives a very different experience. And it's not like right now Mintra is just not focusing on Facebook ads, and that's not the only avenue for them. They are on everywhere. So understand all of
Great.
that.
Great.
Don't just be relied on one, and yeah, then you have a solid business to grow.
Well summarized. So that was great. Don't be dependent on one platform. Keep trying, keep experimenting, focus on the solutions. And to
Yeah.
add upon, do contact Manav if you want the expert advice.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
here is Manav Gupta's LinkedIn ID. I'll also put in the link in the description. You can definitely connect with Manav for the right advice, right guidance. And yeah, uh, it was bang on. You have given the right advice. Keep trying, keep experimenting, focus on the product development, focus on the solutions, experience, right experience. Because कितना भी अच्छा ब्रांडिंग करोगे, कितना कितना भी अच्छा ऐड करोगे, एट द एंड प्रोडक्ट अच्छा नहीं होगा,
Yeah.
सॉल्यूशंस अच्छे नहीं होंगे,
True.
सर्विसेज अच्छे नहीं होंगे, एक्सपीरियंस
It's
अच्छा
gonna
नहीं
work.
होगा. सो it's all gone, because what matters is the repeat buyers,
Yeah.
repeat customers.
Yeah.
So that matters. So bang on, your expertise, your advice were amazing, and we wish you all the best.
Thanks a lot.
Hope to see you again on our expert talk show with some different perspective, with some different subject.
For sure.
And stay blessed, keep smiling, and keep guiding. Thank you so
Sure.
much.
Thanks, Vipul. Thanks for the invitation. It was great talking to you.
Thank you. Thank
Have a
you.
good day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Bye.
You too. Bye bye. Yeah. Yes, so audience, this was our 99th expert show, and see you tomorrow on our 100th episode of expert talk show. So thank you so much once again. आपका हम तहे दिल से शुक्रिया करते हैं, बिकॉज आपने हमें इतना सपोर्ट किया, मोटिवेट किया, एंड हमारी ये जर्नी में आपने इतना motivation दिया है. So thank you so much once again. And audience, this session was powered by Post Resume. So we are providing recruitment services across India and Africa for IT, engineering, manufacturing, pharma, and textile industry, particularly for mid to senior level. So do connect with us if you are looking for any help, any guidance, any support. We'll be happy to help you. Just DM me, and we will be here. We'll be there to help you. So with that note, and again, requesting you to follow us, to subscribe us, press the bell icon to get our regular updates on LinkedIn and YouTube. Uh, and with that note, stay blessed, keep smiling,